All right, well, it's Troy in Jermyn Street in London, in the Mayfair area, and I wanted to talk about a post I saw earlier on today on Reddit. So the guy, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't obviously have it in front of me, but the guy was basically saying, look, I have made a lot of efforts to meet women in real life, okay? And he was saying, I get, and he was talking about when she's interested in him, so he was getting some sort of what you might call an indicator of interest, like she smiles at him or they have eye contact or whatever. And he said, look, I'm an attractive guy. I've gone over there and I've started conversations with these women and the conversations have gone great. And, sometimes I get a phone number or I get a WhatsApp or I get an email address or whatever. And he said, and then they never come out on dates. And he said, why is it in the modern world that we are so... there's such this stigma attached to meeting people in real life when you don't have mutual friends or, family connections or whatever. And he said, it seems like the only ways to meet people these days are online, on the dating apps, I guess, or if there's some sort of pre-existing connection between the two of you, right? So just meeting somebody that you don't know, that you haven't got any connection with, he said it doesn't work. And his raison d'etre for this, as I say, was he thinks that just culturally it's just not a thing. People don't accept it. Okay, so what do we think about this? Do we think that he's right or do we think that he's wrong? Well, obviously, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say I think that he's wrong. And the reason I'm going to say that is because, meeting people who I don't have a mutual connection with has been, in real life, has been my preferred method of, starting relationships, meeting girlfriends, meeting, people that I have some sort of affinity with. That's been my way of meeting people over the last couple of decades, and it's worked very well for me. Thank you very much. And it's also worked very well for the clients that I've worked with and for other guys that I work with, and so on and so forth. So my lived experience, that that hoary phrase that people love to use these days, my lived experience suggests that he's wrong. I do genuinely believe he's wrong. However, the important thing about this is that he's going on his own lived experience, okay? So his own lived experience is telling him something different about how the dating marketplace works. And there's a danger in, and I see this a lot actually online, with guys looking at their own success or otherwise in dating, looking at what's happening in their own locality and thinking that that is the case just generally across the whole world. And of course it isn't, because the dating marketplace is not this homogenous thing that is exactly the same in Southeast Asia as it is in Los Angeles, as it is in Paris, as it is in Dubai, okay? It's very, very different geographically, and it's also different geographically for the individual as well, because if I go to, say, Colombia and I get, a lot of attention there, and I'm very popular there, that may well work for me, but it's not necessarily going to work for the next guy, okay? So it is somewhat dependent on various different factors. So that's the first thing. Your just individual experience of the dating marketplace isn't necessarily universal, and it's a mistake to extrapolate from it and to think, well, this is just must be how it is for everybody, okay? The second thing about this is that we don't know how this guy's coming across in his interactions or what he's doing in these interactions. We've got no clue. He's saying that, and also we have to go on his say-so that these women are actually interested in him in the first place. He's basically saying, look, these are girls who smiled at me, who seem to be interested in me. Well, he's saying that. Is he correct? We don't know. Okay, so that's something we won't know and we can't find out. But even assuming that he is correct, and no particular reason to disbelieve him, even assuming that he is correct on that point, we don't know how he's coming across in these interactions. It might be that he's just being super friendly and he's having nice interactions, but he's not exactly lighting their fire. So it could be that they are momentarily interested in him at the beginning, and then he kind of messes it up, okay, because he's not really taking the ball and running with it, to use a sporting analogy. It could be that he comes across a bit creepy, we don't know. It could be that. It could be he's just super boring. And, the girl thinks, oh, this guy's pretty cute. And then she gets into a conversation and he's talking about his 401k or something. And she's like, well, actually, I don't really want to see this dude again. Or any combination of the above. It could be that he has the misfortune to live in a place where culturally, actually, people do prefer to meet via social circle, right? Or maybe he lives in a place where culturally or for religious reasons, it's just actually not seen as particularly cool to meet people that you don't know. I mean, that is also possible. So it's possible that he's partly right in what he's saying, but it's equally possible that any of the other factors that I've named are impinging on his ability to create dates out of these interactions that he's having. Okay, so the point that I'm making is we don't know. Now, if it is the case that he lives in a place where, you know, just culturally it just doesn't really fly, and even then I don't believe that that's always the case. I think that there's always going to be the exception to the rule, okay? But even if, let's say, he lives in a place where, like India or somewhere, where just culturally it's just not really so accepted to meet people that you don't know face to face, that still doesn't mean that that's the case everywhere on the planet, which he's not implying in his post, but the sort of the overall takeaway would be, oh, this just doesn't work anymore. Whereas actually, if that guy was to get on a plane and he was to go to, you know, South America, for example, he might find that he got a very different response, okay, because it's not, these things aren't global, okay? So, as I say, there are so many nuances that go into this. When you see guys who write these kind of posts, and they sort of say, oh, it just doesn't work anymore, or they make these sweeping generalizations about the dating marketplace, they're failing. What you need to take into account is that they're not generally taking into account themselves their own strengths and weaknesses, their own locality, and also how much they're actually doing this as well. That's the other thing. I mean, this guy said that he spent quite a lot of time and effort on meeting people face to face in real life, and it hadn't come to fruition for him. Well, but is he really? I mean, has he done it 3 times in the last quarter? Or has he done it, you know, has he met 10 new women a week for the last 6 months and nothing's come of it? You know, it's a very different picture, okay, depending on volume as well. And volume, of course, is important. I'm not suggesting that anybody should be running around like an idiot and doing lots of, like, you know, those cringy sort of day game sessions. I'm not saying that by any means, but at the same time, you know, you do have to some extent, you do have to put some numbers in, because you have to be out there being social consistently, whether that's in the coffee shop, whether that's in the bookstore, whether that's in the nightclub, whether that's in the lounge or the restaurant or wherever it is, okay? Because, you know, there are a multitude of reasons why it may not fly between you and one particular woman that you meet. You know, maybe her ex-boyfriend calls up the next day, right? Maybe some other guy that she's kind of been seeing decides to make things serious between them, and you get, you know, you get sent to the bin. I mean, there are so many different reasons why. There are so many different reasons why, on an individual basis, it may not work out. It's not because of the global dating marketplace, whatever that is, right? It's just because of that individual, okay? Which is why you need to be being social consistently, okay, and meeting new people all the time, and also going into it with the right mindset. And the right mindset is, you go into these interactions thinking, look, it's perfectly natural that 2 people should meet one another who don't know each other before, because, you know, that's just, we're human beings, we're animals, we're social animals, this is just what we do, it's perfectly fine. It's not a big deal, there's nothing wrong with it. That's the first thing. The second thing is you should be convinced of your own value. So you should be going around sort of with the mindset, well, look, I'm a high value guy. I'm bringing a lot to the party here, okay? She is fortunate to get the opportunity to meet me, which is the second thing. And there's a third thing as well, which I'm probably going to forget now. But basically, the positivity of your mindset is the important thing. You've got to go into these interactions completely convinced, completely okay with the fact that this is just totally normal. And not only is it normal, it's actually a very, very positive thing. And if her frame of reference is different to that, well, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, you know, it's not about inconveniencing anybody or sort of, you know, making anybody feel bad. Well, I mean, you just say, okay, you know, it was great to meet you, goodbye. That's fine, that's it. But, you know, you have to go into this with the mindset that this is perfectly natural and actually superior to something like the dating apps, for example, okay? Actually superior to that, because it is. Because, you know, what could be less natural than flicking through a screen of different pictures of photographs of people in order to try to find somebody to date? I mean, that's the weirdest thing that's ever happened in the entire history of the human race, okay? So you've got to go in with that mindset very positive, very strong, and you know, let the chips fall as they may. But again, I would just reiterate that the dating marketplace, I talk a lot about the dating marketplace and all of this, but it's not this homogenous, fixed thing that's exactly the same for every single individual in every single location on the planet. It just isn't like that, and you'd be kind of foolish to think that it is, to be honest. So just bear that in mind. Anyway, with all of that being said, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you're liking these new videos for 2023. I'm going to head to the gym now, so what I would like you to do is hit subscribe to the channel if you want more of this wonderful content. If you would like to discuss your own dating situation, then hit the link below. There's a calendar link. You can book a free call with me where we can get on the phone and just talk about, you know, where you're up to, see if there's a way we can work together to improve things for you. I've got a collection of 11 books, Renegade Dating Blueprint, which is available below as well. There's a link for that, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.